everybody, it's Dr. Donna. As promised, I told you guys that I was going to do something a little outside of my comfort zone. Yoga is absolutely not in my expertise, not something that I've done maybe more than a handful of times. But as you can see, I've got an expert next to me. This is Miss Chelsey. She's one of our fantastic Innate moms, and we will be doing our video together. But before that, I'm going to have her tell you a little bit about herself, why yoga, and then the series we're going to do.
All right, hi everyone. I've been practicing yoga pretty much for half my life, and it's just been a part of my life forever. I was hooked like the minute I tried it. It's helped me through aches and pains in my body, it's helped me physically, and also very much helped me mentally stay focused, stay calm, deal with anxiety. It's just an amazing self-care practice, and it's really great to do at home as a busy mom. You don't necessarily have to go to a studio all the time. There's tons of online resources, memberships for yoga websites, or you can just do videos or just teach yourself somewhat. But it's always good to have a teacher once in a while to help you with alignment and just getting the basics down. So today we're just going to do a short sequence.
Cool.
It's geared toward someone who's got a busy schedule, like moms or like everyone. But with moms especially, I know we're always really tight in our shoulders, like carrying babies, hunching over.
Absolutely.
And also our hips generally I find to be a problem area. So we're going to focus on those areas.
Cool.
And yeah, it'll be fun.
And now she's got a little one, and I love to see her do what mom's doing. So I'm pretty sure they can probably follow along. The kids can do it.
Absolutely.
So if you've got little ones too?
Yeah, you don't have to wait till they go to bed, although I do that sometimes so I can really focus. But it's amazing to get your little one involved. My little one, she has her own mat, and we practice together. And sometimes she'll run off and play and then come back. But she even asks me, like, can we do yoga?
See, that's fantastic because, yes, they're listening to you, but they're watching you, right? And so if they're seeing us take healthy steps now and so early, then it just becomes a part of something that they do forever. So.
Oh yeah, it's never not been a part of her life, so she just sees it as a part of our self-care. She says, sometimes I have an ache or a headache, I need to do yoga.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys, here we go.
Before we begin, I just want you to make sure you have some sort of a strap or a long 2 to 3 foot piece of fabric. I'm using an old belt of my husband's. You can use a towel, or a yoga strap is great if you happen to have one. Yeah, which looks like a belt, it's just a little bit longer. You can use a scarf, just anything that's 2 or 3 feet. So make sure you grab that now, and then as you go along, just if there's anything that doesn't feel right in your body, don't push yourself. You don't want to feel pain. You want to honor your body. You don't have to get into every pose right away if you're new to yoga. It's definitely a process and a practice. So just listen, and your body will give you the signals that you should pull back a little bit or just find your edge. So we're going to begin in child's pose. So you want to bring your knees as wide as your mat, your big toes together behind you to touch, and then you fold over onto your mat, bringing your hands out in front of you and your forehead down, touching the mat. And just start to tune out the outside world. Start to focus on your inhales and your exhales. Your breath will guide you through this practice, so you always want to come back to your breath. So just spend a moment tuning in. And then slowly walk your hands over to the right side of your mat, and then drop your forehead back down and start to feel your left side body stretching.
I can feel it on both my hips.
And come back to center, and then walk over to the left side. And back to center. Now raise your right arm up to the sky Look up and then bring it and thread the needle underneath your left. Place your palm up and then you can drop your shoulder and the side of your head back down to the mat. And just keep breathing. And release. And now lift your left arm up to the sky and then thread it underneath your right. Start stretching out your shoulders. And release. Come back to center. And then slowly work your way up. And you can sit on your knees. If this is uncomfortable, you can place a pillow or a blanket underneath or simply come to a seated cross-legged position. But we'll be here for just a few moments. And grab your strap. We're gonna do something called shoulder flossing. This is really amazing for tight shoulders and especially tight pecs, which like when you're holding a baby all the time, this gets so tight. So this is amazing. I practice it a lot and it just feels so good.
Awesome.
So you want to hold your strap out in front of you and you kind of have to play a little bit with how wide you want to go. The wider you go, the easier it is. And as you practice it more, you can slowly bring your hands in a little bit, but you'll feel it and you'll know. So just practice it a little bit and then you'll know how far to go. So you want to start down here and then on your inhale, bring your arms all the way up over your head and then exhale, your arms back behind you.
Come on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, you can go as wide as possible. And then inhale, exhale. And you can really start to feel it opening up your shoulders. It helps you to stay lubricated in your shoulders. I would recommend doing this every day. Yeah. Inhale, exhale. One more time. Okay, you can practice this more on your own later. All right, now come to all fours. You want your hands stacked directly under your shoulders, about shoulder distance apart, and your knees hip distance apart, stacked directly under your hips. We're gonna do some cat-cows. So on your inhale, drop your belly, round your spine, look up at the sky. And then on your exhale, round your spine, push your navel up to the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Now just come to a neutral tabletop position with your spine. Cat-cows are also something that you can do all the time. It's a really great way to keep your spine lubricated, and it helps with pregnancy. This is a great one for pregnancy and postpartum and everything. So this one's great to do every day. So next we're gonna push up into our first downward dog. So tuck your toes behind you. Push all your fingers into the mat and just lift your knees up off the ground. And you want to try to draw your heels down to the mat, push your entire hand into the mat, and see if you can make like a long line of energy from your hands all the way through your tailbone. So you want a straight spine, and then draw your navel in and gaze up at your belly if possible. And you can pedal out your feet here to try to loosen up your calf muscles. Since this is the first one of the day, it doesn't have to be very static. You can move around a little bit and try to sink into it a little more. Okay, and then we're going to push into plank pose. So just go ahead and step into like a push-up position. And then slowly lower all the way down to your mat. Now bring your hands to the top of your nipple points and draw your elbows toward each other. And we're gonna do cobra warm up. So on your inhale, keep your feet pressed into your mat, keep your pelvis pressed into the mat, and then just lift your chest off just slightly. And then exhale down. Inhale. You can try to go a little higher each time. Exhale down. Inhale. Exhale. And now we're going to push back into downward facing dog. So you can come up onto your knees first. And then just push yourself up. And you can bring your feet in a little bit so that they're hip distance apart. And then keep your feet parallel. Okay, so from here, take your right foot and step it to your right thumb tip on the inside. Yeah. There you go. And then drop your back knee down. And I like to untuck my toe, but you can keep your toe tucked, whatever feels good for you here. And then on your next inhale, lift your arms up off the mat, all the way up to the sky. You want to make sure your shoulders are down, they're not hunched up next to your ears. You want to keep your shoulders drawn away from your ears. And work to square your hips to the front of the mat. So you might want to pull your right hip back a little bit, bring your left hip forward. And if you feel comfortable here, you can gaze up at your hands. And then exhale, bring your hands back down to your mat. Tuck your toe. We're going to do a low lunge here, so lift your knee off the mat on your inhale, and then you want to make sure that your knee is stacked directly over your ankle. You don't want it to be in front of your ankle, that's the main thing. So you just want it all stacked. And you don't want all of your torso dumping into your thigh. So try to create a little space, so really fire up your legs, push into the mat. You can even hover your fingers a little bit off the mat. And then on your exhale, plant your left hand, and then inhale your right hand up to the sky for a little twist. Exhale back down. Now root both your feet. On your next inhale, we're going to come all the way up. Lift your arms up. This is crescent lunge. So you want to work to square your hips. So try to like scissor your inner thighs together and make sure your hips are square. Really come high on the ball of your back foot. And you also want to make sure that your knee is in line with your big toes and everything's stacked so your knee is not coming over your ankle. And from here, step your back foot in a little bit. You can lower your hands to your hips. So you want to be able to press both feet flat onto your mat here. Square off your hips again, so make sure that they're both facing directly forward. Inhale and lengthen your spine. And then exhale, fold all the way forward. You can bring your hands to your shin, your foot, or the mat, whatever feels comfortable. And eventually, you just want to work to draw your chin down to your shin. It's not about like hunching over and trying to touch your knee. You really want to keep length in your spine here. And just keep breathing. If you find that there's a place that's really tense or tight, just try to breathe into that space. And come all the way back up. You inhale and step forward to the front of your mat. Take a moment here to integrate. And then on your next inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Palms to touch, gaze up at your thumbs. And then exhale, fold forward. Bringing your hands to wherever they feel comfortable. You can keep your knees bent. Inhale and lift halfway up and lengthen your spine. You can bring your knees to your shins here. And then exhale, plant your palms, step back to plank again. The top of a push-up. And then lower all the way back down to the mat. We're going to do cobra again. So get your hands right at your nipple points, and then on your inhale, raise your chest. Exhale, release, and then push back to downward dog. On your next inhale, step your left foot to your left thumb tip on the inside, and then lower your right knee down to the mat. If you do have sensitive knees, you can also put a blanket under your knee, something I forgot to mention before, but that's always a good practice to have a blanket nearby. So on your next inhale, lift your arms up and try to draw your left hip back a little bit. Bring your right hip forward so you can really feel the energy shooting from your feet to lift you up a little bit in this pose. Exhale, back down. And then tuck your back toe, lift your back knee off the ground for a low lunge. And remember, however you did it on the other side, if you hovered your fingers a little bit for a little more challenge, that feels good. And then exhale, plant your right palm and lift your left hand up for a twist. Exhale down. And on your next inhale, lift both arms all the way up, reach up to the sky. This takes a little balance, so if you're feeling wobbly, you can always widen your stance a little bit. And just be sure both of your feet are really rooted into the mat. You want high on the ball of your back foot, and keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Okay, bring your hands to your hips. Step your back foot in a little bit, like a foot, so that both feet can be flat on the mat. Square off your hips again. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold forward, hinge at your hips, and come to whatever feels comfortable to you. If you can, bring your hands down to your mat or to your leg, and eventually work to draw your chin to your shin. Inhale, back up, come bring your hands to your hips and then come all the way up. And then exhale, step to the front of your mat. Okay, next, step your feet hip distance apart. We're gonna do a stable chair pose. So you wanna bend your knees, reach up with your hands, start drawing the weight to your heels so that you're not all leaning forward on your toes. So you wanna place your weight in the heels and engage your core, kind of tuck your tailbone a little bit here. And then from here, bring your hands to the heart center. Slowly start shifting your weight to your left foot so that you can lift your right foot up off the ground. And then we're gonna cross our ankle over just right above our left knee. Keep your foot flexed here. This protects the knee joint. And then this is a really amazing hip opener and hip stretch. So the deeper you fold forward, the deeper it's gonna be. So keep your right knee heavy, so you wanna kind of keep it open. And if you feel like you want to take it further, you can bend all the way forward or even bring your hands down to the mat. But you don't have to. Yeah, definitely just do whatever feels comfortable. This is also a balancing challenge. So from here, just come up, release, shake it out. We're gonna do the other side.
Oh, that was not a joke right there.
Okay, so come back into your chair pose. Inhale. Bend your knees, sink your weight into your heels. Engage your core. And then slowly shift your weight to your right foot. And then root your foot down so that you find your balance. Slowly lift your foot, flex, and put it just above your right knee. And you can bring your hands to your heart. For me, it feels like it's a little easier for balance. But you can really put your hands in any position that feels good here. And if you fall, that's okay. Just try again. Everyone falls out. Sometimes one side is easier than the other for some reason with balance. All right, and come back up. And release, shake it out. Okay, so from here, step as wide as your mat or even a little further, depending on how tall you are. You can bring your feet kind of 45-degree angle and just go ahead and squat down and bring your hands to your heart. And you can definitely put a block or a stack of books or a pillow or something under you if this is too hard to hold. but eventually you can work to just being able to squat like this, and you can use your tricep to kind of push into your legs to create resistance. That helps open your hip. So take a few moments here. I love this pose. It just feels so good to me. It's a really nice hip opener. And then on your next inhale, lift your left arm up to the sky and your right arm. Place your left arm down on the floor, just right outside of your foot. Yeah. And then place your left arm or your right arm up. This is just like a little twist, and it also helps to open your shoulder. If you do practice and you want to take it further, you can reach around behind and grab your hip flexor.
Oh my.
And then come back up. Come back to center. We'll do the other side. So place your right hand just outside of your foot and on the inside of your leg. There you go. And then your left arm up. And then whatever variation you took on the other side, you can do again. And release. Come back to center. And then slowly sit all the way down on your mat. That's the end of the standing stuff.
Awesome.
So now gently come down to your back. And keep your feet flat on the mat. Bring your heels so that they're as close to your body that your hands can lightly graze the back of your heels. Perfect. And you want them about hip distance apart. And then on your next inhale, just lift your torso up off the mat. This is called bridge pose. And you can roll your shoulders underneath you to try to clasp your hands underneath your body, if possible. But really it's just about opening up your chest and your shoulders. Take a few breaths here. And then release, slowly bring yourself back down to your mat. Draw your knees into your chest. And then bring your knees over to the right side of your body. Keep your left shoulder planted on the mat for a twist. And gaze over your left shoulder if possible. Come back to center. And then bring your knees over to the left side. Gaze over your right shoulder. Come back to center. And one last thing, we're going to rock all the way up to a seated position. Bring your feet and your legs straight out in front of you. And then inhale, or flex your feet first. And you can also remove the fleshy part out from underneath your sits bones. Kind of makes it feel more comfortable. Then inhale your arms up. Keep your shoulders away from your ears and just to find as much length in your spine as possible. And then keep all that length as you exhale, fold forward. And just bring your hands to your shins, your feet, wherever they go. It's not about hunching over and folding, it's about keeping length and just working to slowly draw your chest and your torso down. And sometimes it takes quite a few breaths, and you can definitely sink deeper into this kind of a pose. And inhale back up, and then come back down onto your backs. And draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself one last loving squeeze. And then release everything out into Shavasana. So let your hands splay open, your feet just fall heavy. You can kind of roll your shoulders underneath you a little bit. And release any remaining tension that you may have from your brow, your mouth, your tongue. Let the earth fully support you here. And just take a few moments to come back to your breath. can stay here as long as you are able, but if you do need to get on with your day, we'll continue on. So roll over to your right side, come into a fetal position. And then when you're ready, push yourself up to a seated position. With your legs crossed in front of you. And that's it. So thank you for practicing with me.
Of course, that was awesome.
And I hope you all enjoy. And if anyone has any questions, if you actually try this at home, I can be found online through Instagram at AwakenAge. It's probably the best way to find me. So,
And I'll tag her underneath, of course, if they have any questions
Yeah.
under the video to ask you too.
okay, sounds
Awesome.
good.
Thank you.